Hey guys, Stuart Charles here, HomeStudioBasics.com, helping you make sound decisions. So, I was going to go into great detail and depth and precision about the Grado SR60e versus the Grado SR80e, but they sound exactly identically the same. I may go on a rant in this video. You know, I demoed these before on many occasions, but I forgot. There's so many Grado headphones out there on the E-line. In fact, one day at Audio Advice, I went there specifically with the goal in mind of proving that they all sound exactly the same. To be honest, they pretty much do. I mean, if you think about it, your typical Grado has a spike at 2K, pretty unnecessary. They're all 32 ohm impedance with, I believe, 99 decibel sensitivity. I've always said this, that the main differences between the sound of Grados lies in the headband padding. You got three options to choose from: S cushions, G cushions, and L cushions. The L cushions are god awful, and I don't understand. I could never fathom how anybody in their right mind could defend a 325e with an L cushion. It's just the most god-awful experience ever. My very first video got a ton of hate. Not hate, but like dislikes and stuff. Like the like to dislike ratio was completely lopsided. And I think a lot of it had to do with the camera being on like f1.8 when it really can't handle autofocus. But the other part of it, I think, was that people just get really butthurt about Grados. I mean, especially like older people, because they have hearing loss, and so that 2K area is not going to sound that unnatural or out of line. For the rest of us, I would consider myself, I have pretty good hearing. You know, I've been mixing beats for on and off for like over 12 years, so you can hear that type of stuff, and it's just really unnecessary. Like, it makes an otherwise really good headphone. In this case, the 80E and the 60E. It's a good headphone. Like, everything else about it is very natural, very detailed, very clinical. It's sterile and detailed, but yet still comes across as fairly natural. Just that area around 2K just ruins the total, like the overall experience, like totally. You'll be listening and like really getting into it, and then all of a sudden it'll start to grate on your ears, and it's really unpleasant, to be honest. It doesn't rear its ugly head all the time. Once you've sat down with these for a couple hours, it will become painfully obvious that there's a problem. These two headphones are exactly identical. I mean, they both weigh in at 7.2 ounces. They both look and feel exactly the same. The build quality is identical. The cushioning is identical. The plastic is identical. Every single part of it is. I mean, if you didn't know any better, you would just say the SR, like, they're the same headphone. They sound exactly the same. I couldn't really discern a difference going back and forth between 8 or so tracks. What kind of sound are you getting here? I mentioned it a little bit earlier. It's very detailed. In fact, this is the 80E makes my Budget Kings, and I might replace it with the 60E because it's pretty much the same, but very detailed. I actually hear things in this headphone that I don't in others. Soundstage is pretty good. It's not super wide or anything, but you're gonna start to hear stuff outside of your immediate vicinity. It's not gonna make you whip your head around or anything like that, but bass articulation is also very good. Mid-range is good aside from that spike, which I don't understand why they chose to do that in every single headphone. It's kind of my main, I'm gonna go off on a rant again. It's kind of my main issue with Grados as well, is like, you don't change one thing about it moving up the line. I mean, everything is exactly the same, except for the build varies, but by and large, this is mostly, like, these two are all plastic. So let's talk about build a little bit. So I can't really say, see, this is the funny thing about Grados, is that some people swear by them, that they've had them for 20 years or however long it is. Other people say the build is crap. I can't really say one way or the other. I've never owned a Grado. I've just demoed them on a lot of occasions. I've seen them on the shelf at Audio Advice for roughly 2 years now. They haven't suffered any wear and tear, so I'm inclined to say that the build is good. It's really hard. It's strange to say that, because when you put it in your hand, it just feels like a toy, like a K240. There's no headband padding at all, but you really don't need it because the headphone sits pretty comfortably on your head, and the clamp force is just right. So I would say comfort overall is pretty good with the S cushions. Now with the L cushions, like I said, god awful. When you have an L cushion on a Grado, the driver digs right into your earlobes, and it's really like a rough, hard surface that just like slams into your ear, and it's one of the most unpleasant experiences that I've ever had wearing a headphone, which is why I can't understand why people get so butthurt about the 325e in particular. But the S cushions are very good. They kind of do remind me of throwback old school Sonys in that the foam material on those was very, very cheap. This is definitely a step up, but it's uncomfortably close to being like 90s style headband padding. Those tended to rip over time. I was so ghetto back then, I would just like tape it back together. These S cushions, I can't complain about them. They're very good. You'll be making some slight adjustments here, but by and large, you're going to be able to wear these for long periods of time on your head, which is one of the upsides and one of the good points about the Grado headphones, this one in particular, or these two in particular. The headband adjustment is really, really weird. It's like an Odyssey, but a lot cheaper feeling. They both have that like rod that protrudes out. You basically just pull on it and it pulls up on either side. The cord splits off into a Y, and it's fairly thick. It's a little bit too thick for a headphone of this weight, which is one of my other minor complaints. Like when I had it plugged into my HA2, it didn't tug the amp around at all, which is good, but for a headphone of this size and weight, I prefer a smaller, more compact cable, maybe a bit shorter. Like when you put these headphones side by side, they look exactly the same. If you're gonna have a 60e and then you could come out with an 80e, but it looks and sounds exactly the same, like what's the point? They just keep doing that up the line, and so the G cushions aren't as bad because it protrudes out far enough away from your ear where your ear is not hitting the driver as much. Ranked in order, S cushions are definitely the best, followed by the G's and then the L's. Never buy a Grado with an L cushion. Or you're going to be in for a world of pain.
A world of pain.
Well, you need an amp. Nope. 32 ohm, 99 decibel sensitivity. They're going to sound just fine out of a phone. But, like I always say, you want something for later on down the road. E10K, Dragonfly Red, HA2, Mojo. Those are my top recommendations, along with a black label from iFi, and a JDS Labs Objective 2 for budget desktop. They work for most genres, although some rock songs, they kind of start to sound a bit cluttered up. They do really well for bass heavier tracks like indie pop, EDM, that type of stuff. I enjoyed it more for those types of genres than I do for just rock. Rock is not bass light, but it's lighter on the bass than the other genres. So rap and hip hop, they'll do really well for that. Jazz as well. Really, that's basically about it for these. Hope you enjoyed this review comparison. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my growing channel. Let me know what I can do to improve. And with that,
check 1 2. I hope you enjoyed this review too. It was brought to you by Stu, who, me, the lyrical G. Empirical dreams slide through like green. PC gaming, letting off steam. Got bars for days like a prison inmate. A misdemeanor's fate, no debate when I wake up. Okay, start my day with a cup and I pray I don't faint. I'm a saint of the Most High God. Of the Most High God.